How you been anyway? You all right?
I'm good, and I've got presents.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for this?
That's why you were hiding.
I've
in
got
the blanket.
two
That's
presents.
why you have a blanket on
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
also bring a blanket because I just feel like anytime I enter a work environment with males, they just amp the AC up, and I'm like, why? Just calm down. We don't have to be in Antarctica everywhere we are.
Because it's
So
warm. I don't know what to say. It's warm.
Just settle down, all right? So would you like to see the first present?
I would love to.
100%.
Do you want close eyes, hands out? How are
Actually,
we
can
doing
you close
this?
your eyes?
Yeah, yeah,
Because I don't
close
know how
that.
to get this off my lap.
This feels safe.
You. Just hold on a second.
I just
close
want
your
to,
eyes.
I just
Please
want to
don't
point
slap
out
me.
there was no present last time you were on the
No,
show,
no,
but that's
no.
okay.
Okay, ready? Open eyes.
This will make up for it.
Oh,
Wow. That is what we've been waiting
Show
for.
it on the cam. Which one do you want to point to? Yeah, pull it up, pull it up. That looks great.
Is this
Look, one
inspiration for
each.
our to do our own?
I
is the-
I
Thank you very
hope
much.
Lloyd is in here.
2025
Wow.
Is your-
Australian firefighter calendar.
Thank
the
you.
cat edition. Hope you like pussycats.
It's like looking in a mirror.
Isn't it? Wait, isn't this the year of honesty?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And it's because
I was really drunk
your
and lying.
beautiful husband Lloyd is right here.
Yes.
What
I
month
don't
is
know,
it?
Calendar.
maybe July.
July.
I thought he'd hung up doing
It's been
these
10
things.
years, a decade of my husband Lloyd doing the Australian firefighter calendar.
10 years.
10 years.
Far out.
I know. And I feel like he's like red wine. He just keeps getting better. And it's really
does.
frustrating. It's
Yes.
like he gets grey hairs and everyone's like, oh, that's so sexy.
Silver
And I get a
fox.
grey hair and I'm like, pluck it out,
Dye
dye
it.
it.
Take her outside.
Take her out
She's
the back.
gone.
Take her outside.
Next.
So that's 10 years though. So is this like
10
national as
years.
well?
Yeah,
So
it
he's
is
picked
global.
out of global as well.
It's actually the biggest in the Asian countries.
I want
Oh, wow.
mine signed. Can you take this?
Yeah.
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 Like,
Just wait.
and yeah, it might rock up on Etsy. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter.
Etsy
So
too,
link in
stuff.
bio.
in bio.
We'll bid it.
Yeah, we
Auction
could
it.
give it away to.
Also, just to hype it up though, the fact that you said is national, international, he's been picked.
Huge.
That's
One of
awesome.
12.
Yep.
One of millions, probably.
What's the criteria? Just be really handsome.
What do you think, mate? What do you think the criteria is? It's all on
I
display.
want to put it on my vision board.
It's
Let me
funny
know goals.
though. It's funny though. They're like, don't come in too ripped.
Yeah.
Because the audience
Done.
is mainly women and they don't like men that are too
Like really
gaunt
lean?
and ripped.
Yeah.
And kind of a little bit dad body, but not too dad body.
Yeah.
I mean, none of them have dad bodies on there.
They're looking pretty vascular to me.
That's right. And they used to, and I don't know if they do still, but they used to shoot a calendar and there would be more
Yeah.
than 12. There'd be like 30 guys.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they would get a panel of about 10 women together.
So you might not even make
On
it.
a panel, and they would choose which ones actually make it in the calendar.
No way.
And often they would choose ones with the prettiest smile.
Wow.
So they're like, yeah, they're looking for guys that actually have a good head on them. So
It's
They
not
have
all
some
about
beautiful
the bod.
smiles.
not all about the body, guys. Yeah. So there you go.
So you're
There's
getting
10
into
hope
years.
for us still.
Yeah.
Yep.
maybe a real estate calendar.
You guys keep doing the pod. I'm just.
Yeah, no, you seem distracted. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
Do you want to see present number 2?
I
Oh,
would
we
love
do.
to. There's
Okay,
nothing
close
Oh
your
my
eyes.
god, we're being
Close
treated.
your eyes. Close your, just This is just a bit harder. It's in a bag. Okay, wait. Okay, open.
Oh,
Very good.
Been waiting on
Chuck
that.
it around, chuck it around.
Daddy, why have you brought us these books?
I know,
Tell
right?
us.
I know, right?
Pooheads.
It's all in my shirt.
Can we get these signed as well too?
yeah.
One of them is signed. I think it's this one.
I hope so.
Is that one? There you go.
Nice,
To the Bedroom
very
Project
good.
from Carter and Marlow.
Yeah,
Oh,
you got
that's
posters
very
too.
sweet.
I love this. It's
Posters and
cute.
everything.
Oh, this is elite.
You come decked out, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are
That's
you
fantastic.
Marketing.
First guest to bring us gifts,
Oh, am I?
potentially,
Sam bought us gins.
and Cass brought us hair product.
Okay, well,
That's what I said,
righto.
bro.
Third.
Okay, so this was the first gift we've been brought on the
favourite.
podcast. This is the first gift of
That
this
someone's
year.
made.
Of this year.
Of this
yeah,
year.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
She
this
made
is,
the
this is
gin.
handmade.
Yeah, cool.
And you even tied this into your last episode too. So for everyone listening,
Yeah, we did
Yes.
drop it in the last episode.
See?
Wow, how
finally
your
come to
life has
fruition.
changed in the.
So for listeners of the show, Maddi Wright, our guest on today, she came on probably 6 odd months ago, and what a story she has. She's done everything, radio, TV, incredible entrepreneur and businesswoman in the Cairns community. And the ego is huge now, and the head is inflating.
He's one of his clients.
But one of the last things we left on when we discussed it was you were just starting a project with your children. And this is it in full bloom. Why don't you tell us about it? Because this is wild. It's tangible. It's physical. It was just an idea, and now it's. I've seen it in the Australian newspaper, on TV, radio. This is wild. Tell us about it.
It's crazy. So kids said to me, and I think I sort of explained this in the last time I chatted, that they want to write a book. And so they got really into these books called Dog Man, which is the maker of Captain Underpants.
Oh, yeah.
So he wrote all the Captain Underpants, but he also wrote this series called Dog Man and Cat Kid. Like, great. And so it went rife throughout the school. Like, all these kids are buying it, and I was like, this is cool. And they were hardcover 200-page graphic novels. So kids can sit down and go through the book and read it by themselves quite easily. And so the kids are like, I want to write a book like this. And I was like, let's do it. And they look at me and roll their eyes like, yeah, Mum, like a real book. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But let's sit down and I'll tell you what that might take. And I didn't know. I mean, I'm talking to an 8 and 9-year-old, so I could have said anything and they would have believed me. So whatever. And I was like, well, this is the effort that it's going to take. And I said, I will back you and I will go through this journey with you if you stick at it too. And I didn't know how far that was going to go. I was like, well, we'll probably write a chapter and they'll be over it playing their PlayStation and we're done with this idea. And so they actually started doing it. So I've got a background in journalism and I've always been one to storyboard. I'm a bit of a visual person. So I started to take the pages they were drawing and put it up in our hallway. And so they could see, okay, this is chapter 1, and we just started, and it always was top of mind because the hallway's centre of the house. You have to go to their bedroom, to the toilet, everywhere. So you couldn't miss seeing it every single day. And that was kind of what motivated us to keep going. And we just kept going, and I thought, I'll see how this goes. And then I started looking into, okay, actually, how do you make a book? I don't know what I'm doing. What is the next stage? And that was getting on an illustrator that would actually make it into a real book. So I put out a post on Facebook and I found this amazing guy. He actually, I think his wife nudged him and went, Maddi Wright's looking for a cartoonist. You're a cartoonist. You better contact. And he was like, who's Maddi Wright? And so he contacted me because his wife was a fan of mine. And he was like, hey, what's the project? Let's have a conversation. And I said, listen, there's no money in this, okay? This is a fun project. But what I can guarantee is if it turns out okay, we might make some money off it, right? So, because I didn't know his work. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And so we just went like that. So the boys would do a page, we'd send it to him. It would take him 4 hours to hand draw one of their concepts and all their words and put it on a page, send it back to us, and we would edit it. So there was a really nice bit of learning for the kids in there. It wasn't just I did something and I'm done. It's like, no, you've got to see through every single page. So that was morning, afternoon, weekends for 3 months straight. And it just started looking really good. So each time he would send us a page, I bought a colour printer at home so we could literally print out the new version of it, take down their version, and as it plodded along, they were seeing the book come to life on the hallway. And then they started getting excited. They're like, this is a real book. I'm like, yeah, it's a real book. Still had no idea what I was doing, but I was just pretending for them because I'm a grown-up and, of course, I know what I'm doing. And so then I started looking into publishing and self-publishing and printing, and I really started to understand the language of things. So even to send it to a printer, I had to learn all these new words like what type of paper to use, what size paper, what binding to use, and it's all this different language. So, and I looked into China. I looked into freight. I looked into the logistics behind all of that. And anyway, so decided, all right, we'll print it off. We got to the end. I printed off 5,000 copies. Kind of regret that.
Was that a typo or?
That was
Was it 50 or?
That was a learning curve, which I'm still learning. My poor spare room is just a book room. But it ended, I mean, you guys have got the book. It's a hardcover, 200-page colour.
Like, this is legit.
It's a legit book. And it's funny because when you say to people, we have a business, like a family business, and we do books, and they go, oh, cute. Like, you know, our kids wrote it. And they're like, oh, cute. Like comic novel, you might think 5 pages and it's kind of crappily drawn, whatever.
And then you hand them
show
this.
them and they're like, oh, no, it's a real book.
Okay, we get it. Like,
Yeah. Like, wow. But I said to the boys as we went along, what could be our first goal? You know, not just to print the book, because we kind of reached that pretty quickly. It was like a 3-month thing and we got there and we had all these books. And they're like, we want to sell it at our school fete. And that was the goal. And I was like, that's a really cool goal. That's a cool goal. And that's obtainable because I think I can get in with the school, right?
Yeah.
I can get into a fete. It was actually really hard to do. Holy
I think I could
moly.
break the fate market. No, it turns out I couldn't.
Not my own school fete. I couldn't. It was really hard work. But we got in there. I got their attention.
Bribed a couple of teachers.
You know, we went to Bunnings, got ourselves a tablecloth and a table and we made a banner and all that. And we sold 50 books, I think, at the fete. And then we've been doing stalls ever since, you know, market stalls, all this kind of thing. And it kind of just gained momentum with media. So my background's media, so I kind of reached out to a few people I knew and it kind of gained some momentum. And then I got a write-up in the Australian newspaper. And that blew my socks off. I was
Absolutely.
like, holy moly. Look, boys. And they're like, yeah, cool, Mum. Back to their PlayStation. Like, couldn't give 2 hoots what that meant.
But is it the Cairns Post, though? It's just like, wow.
I have not cracked the Cairns Post. I'm just saying,
Another
Cairns Post,
tough
if you're
market.
listening.
Really another tough high institution, journalism institution. Couldn't
I
crack.
haven't cracked that one yet.
Yeah.
And so we've just been rolling from there. It's in over 400 schools.
wow.
We're in hospitals, about 9 hospitals in their education centres, which has been really cool. What we've noticed is we've hit a different market in terms of there's a lot out there for female readers, for girls.
Yep.
Where they find, and a lot of the teachers have been giving us feedback, is this has been resonating with boys, in particular around boys who really are not interested in reading or they might have a learning difficulty. And I've had so much feedback from teachers and parents that are like, oh my God, that's the first book they've ever sat through and read. And I'm like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And so the purpose, I guess, at the start was a family project and to show the kids, you can turn an idea into something. You really can. Like, you can sit down and if you've got the right support around you and you believe in yourself, you can do it. And now it's turned into something a little bit bigger than that. It's like kids inspiring kids. Like, kids are reading it because they know another kid their age wrote it.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is cool. Like, it's not necessarily the best book in the world. It's just that they're like, oh, it wasn't a grown-up that wrote this. It was a kid. And so now it's like we find ourselves in this journey, like, we're actually doing something pretty cool. Like, and what does that look like? I don't know. Like,
So
we're just going to keep going.
It started off as an entrepreneurial project because you've got that streak in you and you were, I suppose, hoping to pass on your teachings to your kids and, you know, better their life and teach them some amazing skills. And then out of it, you've actually inspired a whole generation of children. That was never your goal. What an incredible thing.
I didn't think that would ever be it, but it was one moment and it was really cool. We did a reading at a school and there was preps from grade 6, so it was a primary school. All these preppies are in the front and it went all the way. We had about 60 kids there. And we're doing this reading and just before I started it, I said, hey, could any one of you write a book? Would you guys like to write a book? How cool would that be? All of them in unison said no. All of them. They all looked at me and went, no. And I went, what? I actually didn't expect that. I was like, yeah, sure they would. And then I went, okay, put your hand up if you can draw pictures. And they all put their hand up. And I said, put your hand up if you can write words. And they all put their hand up. I went, well, then you can write a book. And they went, whoa. And it was just like this penny drop moment for all of them. And I was like, and that's all it took. Wasn't like crazy science behind it. I was like, I just put that idea in their head and they were like, that's so awesome.
Think about how many like little authors are going to come out of that.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
From
Hey,
that day, they're going to be like, I want to be an author.
move back.
Yeah.
Let us take the limelight for a little bit now.
Sit down.
Your time will come.
We don't need this competition. We're just cracking the market. Yeah. It's a monopoly at the
Just
moment.
calm down.
It's just, look, we write about poo.
Yeah, I know.
That is it. Don't go into cars. Don't go into horses. It's poo
Stick
heads.
to your lane.
We've
boring
Stick to your
days.
lane.
Yeah, stick in your lane. Stick in your lane. Yeah.
So where did the
Isn't it
idea
cool?
for poo heads come? Where did
Yeah.
this come from?
The kids wrote a line in the book, and it actually, we were trying to find a name for the book, and Stu, who is our cartoonist, he's got an incredible story himself. He used to write, I don't know if you guys remember the headlines that used to come out of the NT News, and they were really...
Oh, those wild headlines.
him.
That's him.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's him. They
he's-
made
he's
a coffee
legend.
book out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend. So his mind is really cool.
That's
and-
very cool.
yeah, and he's just got this sense of humour. He's a bit of a kid at heart. And he read one of the lines in the book and he goes, we've got to call it Pooheads. Because the boys had just written that. You know, you're a poohead or something in it. And I went, oh, like I was just going to call it like, so Tab and Gully are the main characters. And I was like, let's just call it Tab and Gully. Boring as, right? And he's like, it has to be Pooheads. So he designed a cover up. And then I brought the boys into my office and I put it up on the big screen and I said, boys, and I hid the screen from them. And I said, what about a name for the book? And they're sort of thinking, and I went, well, Stu and I had an idea. What do you think of this? And I swung the screen around and they wet themselves. Marlow fell off the bed and it was hilarious. He was on my bed at the time and he just fell off laughing and I went, and that's the title.
Absolutely.
And since then, it's so funny when we go to market stalls, you'll see families walk past and the dad every single time is like, oi, they wrote a book about you, son, you know, like tapping their son next to them or whatever. And it just seems to trigger. You'll get the naysayers, absolutely. And we've found that in the professional sense as well, where people are like, we're either going to, you know, you're going to love it or you hate it or you'll go, this is inappropriate or whatever. And I'm okay about that. It's not for everybody. But yeah, it was like that. It was a marketing moment. And when I saw the kids' reaction, I was like, that's the name of the book. And that's the name of the series. They've just written their second book. It's already on our wall. It's up to chapter 7 done but it's been written. So that'll be out in another 4 to 5 weeks.
Far out. That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
So are they still... They're obviously super passionate about it still. They're still gunning for it.
Interesting though. Yes and no. I don't think they understand they did a radio interview the other day with a Tasmanian radio station because we're in 12 Tasmanian schools and they just had they sort of woke up, had their wheat bix and was like, yeah, what are we doing, Mum? And I was like, oh, they want to talk to you. And they're like, yeah, okay. You know, like, it's really blasé.
Yeah.
Like
Of Star Life.
It's that like,
It's already got to them. It's already got to them.
They're like indifferent to it now. Yeah.
Sunrise at 8, radio at 12.
If I said, yeah, you're going on Sunrise, they'd be like, yeah, cool, whatever. Can I wear this shirt? No. Can you dress up a little bit? Like, mate, put a shirt on? I don't know.
Carl Steffer who?
Yeah.
Koshi who?
They just laugh at his name. Like, they're just like, don't laugh at the talent. Don't laugh at the talent. But yeah, it's been really cool. Like, they don't know the gravity of it. And kids look at them. Like, they've got kids at their own school. Grades, so they're in grade 4 this year and 3. And they've got the older kids in grade 6, which, you know, they idolise at grade
the cool
6s.
kids,
and they're like,
yeah.
hey, Carter and Marlow, when they walk past. And they're like, oh, my God, they know my name. I'm like, how cool is that?
So
You
they're like
know.
school famous.
Yeah.
You wait till the girls find out they're authors.
Oh, Carter just is just
Crazy.
like, whatever girl. You know, like he has no, whereas Marlo's got like 5 girlfriends at one time.
Yeah,
I'm like,
love
that's
it.
enough.
Yeah.
That's enough, mate.
Thoughts on poo? Thoughts on poo? Like, it's just like,
I know. Well, they got called by Port Douglas State School to do a chat to the assembly, which is a really cool experience. We just thought we were coming in as a part of their assembly for like a 2-minute chat. It turns out they organised the whole school just to be there for the kids. And we actually did a colouring in or a design competition prior to that. And there was one student that designed a character for the book 2. And so we made him a big poster from Port Douglas State School. But the kids went in and the whole school's there and, you know, my kids proper shat themselves. And I'm there trying to, you know, take questions. And there was like 600 questions. And they're all about, it was really, really interesting to see how kids' minds work on business. they were really interested in the business side of things. I didn't expect that. You know, how much money are you making? You know, and Marlo's like $1 billion. I'm like, you
Correct
made no
Reliable
money.
source. Yeah.
Cute.
Please speak to my financial
Oh,
advisor.
right. Yeah. And he's made no money.
Yeah, no, we're in the hole. Yeah, that's
we're
right. That's all right.
Welcome to the club.
It's fine. It's fine. Join the rest of the crew, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I found it fascinating because it was like, again, it's another sort of offspring of this project where kids are getting interested in being entrepreneurs and they're like, you know, they wanted to know the money side, but how'd you do it? You know, what's next? But it was a lot of money stuff. How much does a book cost? What do you do next with the money? And all, you know, and I was just like, oh, and all the teachers like, you can't ask those questions. That's not allowed. I was like, no. Actually, they can. Yeah. Absolutely. So I was giving them the finances.
Yeah.
Marla was fudging it with $1 billion, but that's fine. But hey, if they think we're making $1 billion, maybe they want to go write a book.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
But yeah, I think it's funny. Money has been a big thing, and even every time we go to a stall, the boys are like, well, how much do we make? What are we doing? Like, it's not just about the creativity side; it's about a business. And I'm like, this is cool. Because it's like, you don't do anything for nothing. Really, I don't. But I mean, some people do. But no, I think there's like lessons out of it. But ultimately, if you can do what you love and make a career out of it and make money, then that's the big goal.
Especially being able to show them that at such a young age as well already.
Yeah, but it takes hard work, right? Like the other day they edited a couple pages and they kind of just skimmed it. And I went and printed it off and I put it up on the wall and I was looking at it because sometimes I trust them. And I was looking at it and I was like, there was a couple of spelling mistakes. And I said, boys, come out here, look at these pages again. They went, yeah, it's good, Mum. Yeah, it's good. I was like, no, stop, have a read. And they're like, oh, there's a mistake. I was like, exactly. This takes work, guys. You know, we're not over it yet. You've got to like push for this. If you want the next book to come out, you've got to keep working.
They're like,
it.
Mum, paint editor. We're making money.
Right?
Outsource.
I know.
Get a VA.
When are you going to hire someone, man?
Yeah. It's all about who, not how. It's just like, damn, how do you learn that concept quick? Like 5 years old, wild. That's great. So talk to us about the development you've seen in your kids over this process. It's been a short time, but I'm sure you've probably seen such a condensed development in your kids.
Yeah. There was a project just last Sunday, Cairns South together are putting together an entrepreneur program for kids. And I've been a part of sort of the journey of that a little bit. And on this coming weekend, they're doing a kids market stall.
Yeah.
So only kids, run by kids, blah, blah, blah. And I've been trying to tell the kids about it and get them involved, and they're not really quite. They're like, yeah, Mum, we'll just be there. You just tell us which market stall will be there. We'll put it on our shirts. And anyway, they had this sort of workshop before, and they got all the kids together. And I was trying to teach the kids, but like, you know, we're going to this thing on Sunday. Wear your Pooheads shirt. It's a workshop with other kids, and they've not been involved with other kids before in terms of this business because there haven't been any touchstones for that so far. So we rock up and we were late. Classic. I've caught my husband's PNG gene where I'm always late to things. I'm like, I just claim that I'm from there. I'm on island time 24/7. And he's not. He's actually not. He's Mr. On Time, but I'm not. Anyway, I was late and all these kids are standing in a circle and they were passing a ball around, and when they had the ball, they had to explain to the group what their business was, what they were going to sell, and I think their favourite comic character or cartoon character. And the boys looked at me and gave me this scornful look like, how dare you just throw us into this? And I was like, off you go. I was like, sorry. And they rocked out. My boys are actually really, really shy. Nothing like me. Really shy. And so they've stood in the group and you could just see them like going, oh my God, they got the nervous sweats. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't, I should have prepped you for this. I didn't actually know what we were going to do. And Carter grabbed the ball. So he's 9. And he just came out with, this is what we're selling, and my favourite character is whatever it was. And it was just beautiful. And then he turned around to me, gave me a thumbs up, and I went, that was so good, son. And he goes, yeah. And you could just see his confidence just went up a notch. And so now I'm like, that was scary. He overcome it. The next time, he's still going to be scary, but he's going to have that little bit more confidence to do it again. And I think that's what adults do. They always go, oh, no, I couldn't do this. Like I run staff meetings all the time. and full of adults, and no one ever wants to chair it. Everyone shit themselves. Nah, not going to do it. No, Mad, you do it. Doesn't mean I don't sit there not wanting to do it because I'm like, I go, oh, what if I muck something up? What if I say someone's name wrong? What if I, whatever, all these things go through my head. But the more practice I get at it, the more I'm like, all right, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. Doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable to start with or whatever. So I'm sort of just teaching them those kind of things, and they're learning them.
And that can be hard, I'm sure, as well. Like, you also want to be protective of your kids, but you want to still allow them to grow and push them into those sort of learning experiences that are going to help them grow and get those skills. Yeah,
it's a fine line. I found. Like, I've always been with them if any interviews come up, and I'll always, catch them as they fall or, fill the silences. And if they've ever said to me, I don't want to do it, they'll never do it.
Yeah.
We haven't come across that yet too much. Like, they'll go, oh, I want to do the stall, but I don't want to go there for the whole time, Mum. And I'll go, yeah, that's fine. If it's a 3-hour stall, market stall, just come for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to get that taste and talk to one customer, and then go when you're done, and that's fine. So yeah, there's that fine line of kind of pushing them, teaching them hard work, but getting them to not until it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And
also making them like not panic or anything like that too.
Yeah, and that absolutely.
Yeah. So I've got a question for you, Maddi. You're teaching kids this entrepreneurial spirit, this business motivation, and all the trappings that go with it, and they've had a level of success really early. They're still kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Are you ever in two minds of, I need to just let my kids be kids?
Yeah.
Or I also want to teach these what I think are great business skills early on so that they're ready for life?
Yeah.
Where does the balance that your strike land?
Yeah. Interesting, because we've actually had big mistakes, failures, huge, that have hit hard. And with this project,
this project.
I've been honest with the kids about, they'll go, Mum, why aren't we in Big W already? We'll walk through and they'll see their favourite books and they're like, where's our book?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're working on it, but it doesn't happen that quickly.
Yeah.
Or we're working on it, but this has happened this week. So just to give you a bit of insight into sort of the journey. So a few months ago, we were offered a contract with a literary agent. So again, another term I've just learnt. Yeah. It's not literacy as well. I was calling them the wrong word, but anyway, I learnt that quickly. And so this agent, he's fantastic, one of the best in the country. And I'm learning about this industry very quickly. And we've gone out to 8 of the biggest publishers in Australia. So we've gone to the Penguins, HarperCollins, all of them. We got rejected by all of them, even though we've had more sales. So typical sales of a book like ours, or any book by any author in Australia, is about 1,000 across the country. That's it in its whole lifetime.
Wait, what's that? That's the average?
Average
Oh, wow.
of an Australian author is about 1,000. That's it.
Yeah.
We've had nearly 800 sales by just selling through our website. That's it. We've had no publisher. We've had no one backing us. That is pure grit, grassroots stuff. So our numbers are astronomical. The book has had so much feedback. And on a daily basis, I'm getting someone send me a photo of their kid reading it. Like, you don't get that in most products. Yeah. You don't get that. I don't get that in my other business, which I've been running for 5 years. People don't send photos of them doing stuff with, stuff, whatever. Yeah. So, our pitch is amazing. Our product's amazing. The back end story is amazing. So when we went to these 8 publishers and we gave them a deadline, we actually expected to be snapped up in a day. We gave them, I think, 2 weeks. It's a whole different ballgame. The feedback that came back, one of them that I had my heart set on, Melbourne-based publisher, said, yeah, it's okay, but I'd re-illustrate it and rewrite it. And I was gobsmacked. Literally, I was like, this bitch. Yeah. Like, honestly, I was really angry at it. Then a couple came back, oh, great entrepreneurial spirits, but it's just not for us. all 8 of them turned us down. We're now looking at the USA market. That was a kick in the guts, though. Like, that was a proper, holy crap, our own country doesn't even want to support us.
Advantage.
We can't. We make the Australian newspaper by the biggest literary editor in the entire country, and she writes a good write-up about us, yet a publisher won't even look at us. So that's how ruthless this is, this industry. And so, you know, that was a kick in the teeth. So there's definitely been moments that I've had to teach the kids about taking that kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
And they don't understand it. They do not understand it. They still on the, you know, so why aren't we in Big W? You can say all of that and they'll go, yeah, so when are we going to be in Big W? You know, you're just like...
So, Mum, figure it out.
Yeah,
Get it done.
chop.
Yeah.
Back to my PlayStation. So, yeah, it's hard because I do want to actually teach them about failure, but I'm not sure they have a grasp of what that feels like.
Yeah.
Until it's maybe on their level, like they fall over in a basketball game in front of their friends. You know, it's their level of failure is only what they can relate to right now. And so I am shielding them from it to a degree because of their level of understanding. But yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about what comes next. Like, you know, how do I shield? What if one of the biggest publishers in the USA takes us on? And like, how do I shield them from that? Like, I don't want to exploit them either. You know, like, it's a great story that kids wrote the book, but at the same time, if they don't want to be in a Facebook post, if they don't want to do an interview, I wouldn't force them to do that. So it is like, in a way you want it to go really big, but in a way you're like, but if it does, I don't want people necessarily contacting them all the time or doing those sort of things.
And then just like checking in as well, like knowing that you're not doing it for your reasons.
100%.
Like,
you kind of know best of everyone because you have had that fame, and like when you're doing that and you know exactly what it's like, and you're thinking like, oh hey, do I want that same thing for them as well too?
And I don't, to a degree. It's more showing them you can do an idea and turn it into something.
We want money, not fame. That's always it. We want money, we don't want fame. I don't want anyone to know who I am, but I want multiple commas in my bank account.
Fame.
You know what's worse is fame without the money. Everyone knows who you are.
Yeah, every Australian reality TV star.
You can't like walk down without getting recognised. But you're literally living week to week.
And that's why I think like when we went on House Rules, which was 10 years ago, whatever it was, there was not many reality TV shows. And so there was no blueprint of how to act on a reality TV show. There really wasn't. Now, you know, you watch these things and you can absolutely see the ones that are like, oh, it's for the gram. You know, like this is for my social media platform. I'm going on Married at First Sight, but really I'm going to get so many chicks after this that it doesn't really matter if I get married.
Back of it.
And I'm cool with that, man. Like, go for it. If you can get picked on a show and that's what you want to do, and you know what you've got, you know your vision, 100%. But like Lloyd and I didn't have that. We didn't have this. Oh, we have to act like this and do this, and if we do this, and our social media will plummet, and we'll just whatever. You know, like we didn't have any of that, and so like it was authentic, and so we've come out of it going, what do we do with it now? Whereas now people 100% would go into these shows knowing, I'm going on Married at First Sight. It's not actually really to find a partner. Like it's to boost my personal training business or whatever it is. And cool, go for it. I'm all for that. But like that's the reality of reality TV shows now, you know.
Also on the other side, like make sure that they stay humble as well. Is that something that you ever have to think
daily?
About, like?
Daily. So Lloyd and I don't know, we're pretty giving people. Like we've grown up a bit together now. So our adult, you know, we've known each other, I don't know, 16 years or something, been married 10, and we've sort of become adults together. And so our values are very much the same, and that's definitely helped our marriage. But you know, I watch Lloyd and, you know, we'll go down to Rusty's and he'll buy a hot dog for the homeless man, and that's just what he does. And our kids see that a lot, and we're always helping people, and we're always, you know, if someone needs a hand or come on over, or the kids will always have friends over, and I'm always like, who wants a popper? Who wants this? Let's go to the movies. Like it's always like, we're always kind of just helping out where we can or whatever. And so they're seeing that all the time, and we'll always nip it in the butt if they're like, oh, okay, great example. Today we watched an 11-minute thing on Netflix. I think it was Netflix somewhere, and it was called Zion. And it was 11-minute little short doco of a kid that was born with no legs.
Yeah.
And he's an expert wrestler. And the kids actually didn't want to watch it because they were like, oh, that scares me. I was like, well, hold on a second. Let's watch it. It's 11 minutes. And it was PG, whatever. So they watched it, and it was about this kid born with no legs, and he's become a wrestler. He uses upper body strength, and he's always walked on the floor. And, he went through multiple foster homes. No one loved him until he was 16. He finally got adopted. It was actually really sad. 11 minutes. It was really sad 11 minutes.
Yeah.
But I was just watching their reactions to it because I was like, because my other business, apart from Pooheads, is working in the disability sector. And so I was just watching them and going, because they go, well, why doesn't he have legs? Can't he just grow legs? Bless. I was like, no, honey, he's not a gecko. But it was like, no, he can't. But that's okay. Look what he's doing. He's got a Netflix show. How cool is that? Yeah. And it's just like constantly giving them the cues that you can look different, you can be a bit different. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter. Like, be a good person, be kind. And so it's just always doing that, coming back to that and them not recognizing, race, color, just everyone's the same.
Yeah.
So we do that a lot, all the time. Like, nip it, we talk about it. It's very open conversation.
We're saying how difficult it is now too, because obviously they've worked really, really hard on this, and they've done really, really well out of it, and they've found success, and it's kind of almost programmed to be like, oh, as long as I work hard on everything, I'm going to blow up. It's going to be successful. Anything I touch is just going to turn to gold. You know what I mean? What
doesn't that happen for you? It's weird.
I wish. I wouldn't be here with these two if it did.
Yeah, right. We're stuck here.
You'd be on Rogan. You'd be one of the third Hamish and Andys. But here, you're just one of us, baby.
If you guys are hiring, I'm here.
You're just a betterment boy. Yeah.
Being tormented.
But
where do you go to from there?
Yeah.
But it was like, I could have taken those rejections, and these are rejections from not a guy down the road. It's rejections from the biggest publishers in Australia, which you could sit back and go, well, that was my only chance. Well, what are we going to do now? Oh, well, that was a waste of time and money. No, I'm like, okay, that stung. That stung for a day, and it really did. I was in the dumps for a day. That was really shit. And then I was like, okay, dust it off, move on. And one day they're going to look back and go, shit, we should have signed them on.
Yeah.
Damn, I think you need those kicks in the guts and slowly teaching the kids about that, but I guess on their level, when Carter doesn't win that gymnastics medal, it's like, it's okay. Or you get a grade you didn't want, or that girl called you something or whatever. That's their level of failure.
One of your 5 girlfriends break up with you.
That's right. It's not you're not on the shelves of Big W, okay?
You still got 4 to go.
They'd probably be on the shelves of Big W and still be like, cool, mum.
What's next?
Next. Yeah, you know what I mean? That wouldn't be that, because in their world, their level of success and failure is on the school level. It's on... It is on Grand Theft Auto, although it's not that, but that sounds cool. But, it's their, winning their PlayStation game or whatever. So it's like, putting it back on their level a bit.
We had a guest on, Andrew Matthews, best-selling author. He's sold 8 million odd copies around the world. He's been publishing since the 80s. He told us the story of his rejection from the publishers, but it wasn't 8 publishers. It was about 36 publishers that he was rejected by every single one.
Yeah.
And then eventually he got picked up by, it was
they made Hawaiian phone directories.
Yeah, they made phone directories. And they said, well, we'll give you a crack.
Yeah.
And he carved his niche, and he does illustrations in as part of his novels. Yeah. And he's gone on to make a whole career of it. And
that's cool. And I think the more that you talk to people like that, and this is what I use in my, I don't necessarily get to talk to people like that, but it might be I listen to a podcast or, those sort of things. It settles you a bit to be like, okay, all right, take the rejection.
It's part of the process.
Next, absolutely. And there's in so many things, I got, Stu, our cartoonist, said to me, how do you feel? That would have hurt. And I was like, yeah, it hurt. And he goes, but you know what it does? It adds to our story.
Yeah.
I was like,
for the plot.
Cool.
For the plot,
Yeah, he goes, you remember when we first printed the books? We actually got 1,000 books printed upside down. Adds to our story, right?
Yeah.
And and I'm like, yeah, cool, okay. It's like taking those little things and instead of going, and getting angry and you might feel those emotions for a second and then just move on from it because it ain't life and death, so move on.
Yeah.
Keep
so
trying.
reframing it.
So you went through in the start, like obviously your original goal and your original motivation for doing this project, and kind of as it's gone on, you've noticed like all the other benefits and things that have come from it, like the kind of the inspiration and the impact you've been able to have on that next generation, things like that. Do you see that as an opportunity of like the messaging that you can kind of put through the books and kind of the lessons and morals that you can teach and like kind of where you want to take that?
Actually, no.
Yeah.
What I love about the book is it has no morals.
Yeah, it's just a great
It's just
story.
authentically
It's about
there.
poo, right?
Yeah. Just true, genuine entertainment.
Yeah, 100%. But the journey of it, what we've been able to do, so when we sell a book, what we've been including is things like how to draw comic book characters.
Yeah.
So kids are getting it and they're actually learning the steps of that because they're connecting with the characters, and then they might do their own stuff.
Yeah.
And where I kind of envision it loosely, because as you guys know, I don't plan in ahead, I plan like the next week ahead and that's about it. But like,
it's incredibly frustrating.
It is so frustrating.
Advisor.
I know, and my husband. But yeah, it's where I kind of loosely see it going is I'd love to include other kids. Like when we had the boy from Port Douglas State School, he just was sketching a character and he's like, how good would this be? It's called Turdy Lizard. Turdy Lizard is now a character in book 2. Yeah. And our cartoonist Stu did up that character. And now that boy gets to walk away going, I did that. That was cool. Yeah. And it might inspire him to do more things. Yeah. And so, like, I do see us running a school competition or, like, getting more kids involved of creating book number 3 or being involved in naming it or chapters or something like that. Or, other kids start writing books and we become a publisher ourselves of kids' book. Yeah.
And you could have never planned for these goals that you're talking about. It was just, I'm just going to help my kids write a comic book.
Yeah.
And now you're just really trying to inspire and make a difference out of this project.
Yeah. It's been really cool. We've had mums, say my kid's dyslexic, never read a book in his life and he sat there. We've had counsellors at schools that have said, I have not been able to settle this kid. This is the first time they've ever sat down for an hour and that's what's making them sit down is that book. And I'm like, that's so cool. And my kids don't understand the impact of that yet.
Yeah.
They are, with my other business, I have a support coordination business that supports people with disability, and that's quite a large business, and I've been around that, and my kids have been exposed to a little bit of that. They describe my job as helping people in wheelchairs. That's what they think I do. And I kind of do that. I do that, but, they're exposed to that. They're exposed to helping people that are less vulnerable than yourself, and that's my philosophy. So, yeah, they're getting bits of that as they go along, and hopefully it's just that's who they're becoming kind people. That's all you can hope for. But
yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you give to maybe like any parents that are listening, like potentially if their kids are coming up with ideas, how they support that? Because I'm sure it's also it's a massive amount of time out of your life and schedule as well. So how do you sort of foster that?
I guess you've really got to prioritize what is important to you. Can you find a way to make your lifestyle geared towards that? So many parents have come up to me since I've written the book and they're like, I would love to do that with my kids. The difference is they don't. And that's it. The difference between me doing it and you doing it is I did it. And it sounds cocky, but that's it. Like, anyone can sit down with some paper and write with their kids. Do they do that? Most likely they don't. We read with our kids every night. Every single night, it's a part of how we put them to bed. We do brushing of the teeth and then we go to bed and we read a book. And we've been doing that since they were born, like literally since they were born. We've sitting on the bed, laying next to us, and we'd read a book. And we didn't realize the impact of that until recently when they're like nailing it at English and stuff. And I'm like, what? Because I don't believe in homework. So I ditch homework. They bring it home, I put it in the bin, and then I explain to the teachers we don't do homework in this house. So like I'm like, well, you're doing all right at school. How? Because we're not doing anything extra. I'm not doing anything extra. And then I'm like, oh, actually we read to them every single day. So they're seeing words on paper every day. But that's effort. Like, that's effort. It's exhausting. Some days I don't want to read a book. I can't be bothered, you know. But it's just a routine. It's habit. It's just a routine now, and that's what we do. So, like, it takes effort. It takes effort to put things, and it takes priority. Like, is that really your priority? Are your kid, and it's not talking about love, and it's not talking about are your kids your priority in terms of that. It's like, I've invested in my kids because that's what I find important, because I've learnt what entrepreneurship is, and I'm like, why not start with an 8 and 9-year-old? Why would I be investing in adults when I can invest in my own kids? And that might not be a priority for other people. So I guess it's, I'd love to write a book with my kids. Go do it. Like, stop. Go do it. Like, it doesn't cost a lot. You can go do it, you know. So, yeah, I guess it's like, put the time in if that's what you want to do. Understand what your kids like. You know, listen to them.
Yeah, but I suppose it's like creating systems as a parent, or just reflecting on what your kids have an interest in. Like, if parents coming up to you and going, oh, I would love to write a book with your kids, it's just like, would you? It's like, what happens if your kids are good at sport? Well, put the system in place to foster the sport. Kids taking an interest in guitar or piano, so put the system in place and invest the time that way. Just because you see me having success with my children, that you've missed the point of the story.
That's good.
The story wasn't write a book with your kids. The point was pay attention to your kids, their interests, and then foster that in whatever system you can.
And it goes back to literally when we started the podcast, when I said, the kids said to me, we want to write a book. And most parents, including myself, would roll their eyes at that. Yeah, go do it. Go do it. You know, shooing them away into their room to go do it. But actually going, well, hold on a second. What kind of book do you want to write? Do you actually want to put in effort? You know, and that might take a bit of, again, investment in as an adult. Like, okay, they want to be the world's best basketball player. What does that look like? What do I need to invest? I need to go onto Google. Where are the local basketball, you know, what does that take? So, well, buy a basketball and go down the road and learn it yourself. Like, you know, my husband Lloyd wants to learn guitar this year. I mean, he's been saying it for a few years, but he said this is the year. And he wants to teach the kids, but he's got to learn it himself first. So he's like this, but that takes effort. And there is going to become a point, like, the boys are 8 and 9 and their interests change daily. And there will be a point where they're over it. Maybe. And that's okay. I've got to be prepared to take that on. And which is when, you know, my entrepreneur brain goes, okay, this is why I might need to foster a group of other kids to bring into this business. And because I want to keep it going. It's been fun. This is cool. You know, and so looking at that bigger picture of this business, like, it does go beyond just the kids writing a book. It's a book written by kids that kids are being inspired by. So how can we get other kids involved into this to keep that longevity and all that? And they're the youngest kids in Australia, the youngest authors in Australia, and everyone we're up against is 40 plus. So I'm just like, we have it in the bag.
We have time.
We got time. It's funny, one of the publishers said to us, yeah, but they're going to grow out of this, and then what are they going to write? I don't know, the next round of books, mate. It was just like one of those,
so
do you
strange.
say that? Like, I was like, that's discrimination. Because do you say that to your 60-year-old authors?
Yeah, they got less time.
Yeah.
You got less time. Do you turn around and say that to them? Like,
it's ageist.
There's one of the best-selling books. It's a Treehouse one, and one of the illustrators in there, he's, I think, 73. I was like, isn't it? So are you guys saying that to him when it's like, come on. Like, if anything, see this as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And the more I look into the world of publishing, and I hope they don't listen to this, but it is really old school.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like, I'm like, hey, let's get with the times, people.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit doom and gloom, a bit old school, like traditional. And I'm like, okay, well, this might be an industry I can disrupt. And that's where my head goes. You're like, let's disrupt it a bit.
Can we ever see this turn into a cartoon, do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's all about the brand.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I don't see it as this is a book. It's like the book is
Just
the gateway to make the Netflix movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I see.
The merch, the toys.
100%.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, talk about, like, I cop flack on social media all the time. Like, there's been people that are like, oh, you know, why would you do that to exploit your children? Why would you exploit your children? Let them be kids. If it doesn't come off, we had a good time. Kids had a good time. No one was hurt, except maybe my bank account, soz. But like, okay. You know, like I think as we grow up, just like the noise of haters just doesn't get very far with me anymore.
Something you've experienced.
Yeah.
Like it's not a new thing to you at the end of the day. So it's like, I think that's definitely something that comes with a bit of wisdom and a bit of time as well too.
Yeah.
Just kind of just not really caring what people think.
It does. And practice.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to take on the haters and practice how to block it out.
Yeah.
Because sometimes things will hurt more than they... Yeah, you've got to practice it.
Yeah, and everyone's got their buttons, you know.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But now I just try and stay off my phone, not necessarily social media, but my phone in general when I'm at home with my family, which is the majority of the time. So that's what's kind of kept me quiet on social media. Would love to have more energy to do that kind of stuff, and the stuff that happens in my day can be like, oh, that'd be so cool if someone was taking a nice photo of that, and I could post that. But, you know, that's at the risk of not paying attention to my kid who's talking to me, or not paying attention to my husband that might be talking to me, you know, like, so I have to weigh up how much I post as to how much time in my life goes into that, and it's not as important to me. But I do want to foster that because I do believe that this has brought out a community, especially of mums, that might be dealing with the same issues I've dealt with, and I might have a bit more confidence because I have had to deal with it faster than a lot more people, or more than a lot more people because of my profile. Yeah. So, you know, to be able to sit down and talk to people about that would be cool. Who knows what this year might bring? I don't know.
As always, a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much for the presence, for the story.
With all this free time you've got this year, we might get you back for a couple more episodes. We'll have some
free
chat.
all the time, guys.
Thank you, Maddi.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Namaste.
Ciao.
Until next time.
Yeah.